Alright, hello and welcome to this video where we'll be making this little bike shop. We got some icons, a gallery, and a little contact form. Get out there, time to cruise. So let's get into it. Alright, so I will create a React app. In this folder I have. And we'll be right back when that's done. Alright, so we have finished creating the React app. So next step, we're going to delete some of the basic start content. We'll go to the index. Remove React strict mode. Logo, and then for now we just have a basic app. I'll run npm start. We'll worry about that later if we have to. Alright, and at this point it is just a basic blank app. I'm actually going to get rid of this class name right here, and then we're going to put in the landing screen. So we will need to create that. So I'll go ahead and create a components folder and a screens folder. In the screens folder, we will create another folder called landing screen. Along with that index.js. And a landing screen .module.css, so that we can create some styles for this. I will go ahead and just paste those in now. And you can find a link in the description to get the styles. Okay, so the landing screen. Let's get started on that. So I have some basic template snippets in here. So we're going to create the landing screen. Give it a class name of classes dot landing screen container. And we'll import the classes object. We're also going to need an image, so we'll go ahead and import that. We do not have that image just yet, so we'll create a folder for assets. And then you will also be able to get this image from a link in the description. Should be at the same link. All right. There it is. And all this screen actually is just an image right now. We might change that later or add on to it, but for now it's just an image. Check out this awesome beach cruiser. Amazing. And then if we come back here, oh, enemy screen, we can just import that like that. Can't resolve bike gradient. Bike gradient. Well, let's try one more time. Oh. Before I had this in an image folder, we don't need to do that just yet, so we'll just do bike gradient. And there we go. Should have a nice big picture of a bike on the screen. And we will go ahead and create the next screen. Which would be the specification screen. So we'll do just like that. In the screens folder, create another folder for the spec screen. And there we'll create an index and a spec screen.module.css. We'll go ahead and paste in the styles. I'll get rid of this, or I will shrink it down for now. Spec screen container, a tag, a little bit of styling for the headers and paragraphs. Nothing much you need to worry about at this stage. Alright, so in the, go ahead and save all of those and clear them. In the spec screen, go ahead and import classes. Turn a div with a class name. Of spec screen container. In the container we'll have an h3. And I want to say no bueno. We will not do that. Classes.tag. I'm getting a phone call. Sorry about that. All right. Classes.tag. And we'll do specs. beneath the header, we'll create another div. And if any of you use the snippets, to add a class name like that, if you know how to convert the return to an object, like we have here with the classes.specRow, that would be really useful. I'm not too sure how to do that right now. Anyway, okay, div class name specRow, and inside of that we'll have another div. Of spec container. And inside of that we'll have another div with the class name of classes dot icon, where we will have an icon, and I will likely add that in at the end of this page. So after that div, create another div. Save that. We'll create an H3, saying 35 miles per hour. So that, create a paragraph, get from A to B with speed. Finish out that div, and the div below that, and then we will create one more. Class name is spec container. Just another spec container, where we will have just about the same thing actually. So classes.icon. Oh, oops. Copy that div right there. That icon, and then with that, we'll add in another div with a header and a paragraph. I just want to try to make this so efficient, probably making it less efficient in doing so. Great. So right here, lifetime warranty. Crew stress-free with warranty. I could have also created an array to store the data for this, but we only have 3 columns, so there's no point in that. And I will just actually paste in another spec container. No, wrong. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is below that div, right above the last one, create another div. And we'll add a class name of specRow. And then we will paste in a spec container with an icon. We'll have the header with 22 pounds. And it will stay lightweight and agile. And with that, our icons aren't working yet, but we might be able to get away with importing this and saving and yeah, you should see the layout working just fine. So we'll get to the icons. And for that, we should be able to just go to cdn.js to grab a script for Font Awesome, because that's what I will be using for this. So we'll go back to Chrome, and as you can see, the layout's looking just fine. So we'll go to cdn.js.com and type in Font Awesome. And I'm going to select the if I can find it. We'll go with all.min.js. Or no, actually, I want version. There we go. Nope, it doesn't have the specific file I'm looking for. So what we'll do is we'll copy this one, and we will go back to Visual Studio, and in the index.html, we'll paste this in right below that link. With that, we should be good. We will double check right here. So for the first icon, we're going to give it a class name of fa dot, oh, what did we do there? Class name, and just a string this time, fa dash solid space fa dot gauge dash I fa dash. We'll give it a style. Run. A color of 3C3F28. Again, that's 3C3F28. I'm sure you can see it fine just there. And then we'll do the padding of 0, 10 pixels. And then we will copy that for the next icon and just change the class name to fa-solid fa-shield. And then the last one will be fa-solid fa weight dash hanging. Nice. Okay, take a look at Google Chrome again. And there it is. Okay, so yes, that's all we needed was that link from cdn.js right there, and our icons are working. So with that, that's the spec screen. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. And back to Visual Studio, and we can create the next screen, which is the display screen. And I actually already have the folder created right here. Create an index. Module.css. I don't know. Display screen.module.css. I will paste in the styles. They'll all be at the same link. And for the display, go ahead and create the basic layout. It looks like I got an error, but don't worry about that for now. Oh, I just didn't save. Okay. Okay, the display screen is not that complicated, so give it the first div a class name of classes that display screen container. You might see a pattern here. And if you like to do a different convention for your naming, that's totally fine. Just go in and rename them in the CSS files. Or you can completely change the styling. So we'll do a div. And we'll actually go ahead and create two more. So the first one, class name. Classes.column. Inside of that, we'll create an image. And the source will be beach_ocean. Really nice, right? And then the alt will be, alternative text will be beach near the ocean. And then we need to import beach ocean from the assets screen. And I will go ahead and paste that in. All right. So the second div is going to have a class name. Of column 2. Inside that we'll have two divs. And the first div, or actually they will both have a class name of image row. And to do that, I am holding Alt-Shift with the down button. So if you do that, Alt-Shift down, it'll just copy the line you're on and move it down. I know sometimes I forget to mention what keys I'm using, so there you go. Here we go. Image to image source of beach_sunset. I'll duplicate that, and then what we're going to do is copy and then paste. And to select the next occurrence of any variable, whatever you select, you just hold Control and D, it will select the next one, whether it is case sensitive or not. So go ahead and import that. I will paste that into the assets right now. Beach sunset. Yes. Oh, what happened there? I'll make the alt sunset near the beach. And then we'll make one more below that. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this in now. It will be beach underscore city. Oops. And there we go for that one. And the last div is going to be similar to the first one. So I'll go ahead and paste that. And the source will be beach underscore feet, actually. So I will go ahead and paste that one in. We're approaching all of our assets in completion, so we shouldn't have to import too many more at this point. And if you go ahead and check your console and your browser, we should be looking fine in terms of layout and everything like that. No errors on my part just yet. If you have any errors right now, I should have a link to the GitHub in the description below, so you can check that out. Alright, so next part. Next page. The next page will be the order screen. So let's create that. Create an order screen, basic template, React app, a React component, and then I will paste in the styles. Should be able to import that into the app now, the app screen, or the app file. Sorry about that. Now, to the index. This is going to be a little bit of a hefty page, so we will go ahead and get started. Import classes. We're going to have to install Axios for this one, because we'll be sending some mail. And we'll need Axios in our front end for that. And And then we're also going to have to create a form field component. So we'll do that, but just so I don't get any errors right now, I'm going to comment that line out with Control/. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set up the actual content inside the return first, and then we'll get to the functions and everything like that afterwards. So give the first div a class name of order screen container. The div below that, give that a class name. A form container. Inside of that div, create a form with an onSubmit property. And we'll create anonymous arrow function to point that to the submit handler and pass in the event. So we'll go ahead and create the submit handler right now, so we have no warnings. Clean that up. Back into the form. We'll give it an h3 of order. And here we'll map through an array of form elements. Actually, we'll just return some parentheses with a form field. And this I will comment out for now. Create an empty array of form elements. So now that we have that, and since we do need the form field to progress at this point, I will go ahead and create that now. Okay, so we will create a folder named form field with an index.js and a form field.module.css, where I will just paste in the styles. We create a basic React component and name it form field. Okay, so in the return, we'll have a class name, a div with a class name of classes.input, a label with a class name of classes.label, and the label is going to be something that we're going to pull out of the props. So go ahead and destructure that now so we don't get any more errors. And import excuse me, classes from And there we have that. So below the label, we will have the input element, which at first it will be null. Create an if statement. Value also will come from props. And if we don't have the value, we're just going to set it to an empty string. So it's a sanity check. Create a switch based off the type. Type comes from the props, as well as config and change. And that should be all the props that we need at this point. Create a case for input. Where the input element will be set to an input element. The input element constant will be set to an input element. Which will be self-closing tag. Class name classes.text. We will spread the config in here. Set the value to the value, and then set onChange to onChange. Sorry, changed. And expected a default case. Yes, we will do that now. So break. Create the default. We're going to set that to an input element. With the class name of classes.text, we're going to spread through the config, set value to value, and then on change to changed. Basically the same thing. One thing that we will do that is different is we'll create a case for text area. And then I'll paste that in, but I'm going to change this to a text area element. And then the class name, config, value, and changed on changed property all needs to be there. Yes, and then add break after that case. And for that, that would be the entirety of the form field component. If you'd like to go in and add more cases for a select or a radio or anything like that, feel free. Okay, so now we are good to import the form field, which is going to have a few props. We're going to set the key to the form element.id, the type, sorry, let's go ahead and fix this. Form element is the individual name of the item that we need to map through. So for the form field, we'll set the key to the form element.id, set the type to the form element.setup.type, set config to form element.setup.config, set value to form element.value, and set changed to the input changed handler, pass an event, and the form element .id, which we also need event here. And we'll go ahead and create the const input change handler to get rid of those warnings. And we'll move on. So we'll create a div below that with a button that says order now. Give the button a class name of classes.submit button. And a type of submit. Below the form and the div below that, the closing div tag, create another div with a class name of classes.column2 with another div inside of there. Or let's see, 2 more. Give the first one class name of classes order content. Give it a heading, h3, get out there, and then a p, a paragraph, start exploring, be daring. And then we're going to do the same thing for this div right here, except for the header. It'll be time to cruise and order now and have it shipped within 30 days. I'm just going to start it up to make sure there's no big errors at this point. Alright, so next we're going to add in the footer screen. Which there's no real navigation on this app. If you want to add in navigation, then you would make this dormant and it would stay on the page, but since it's just a landing page, everything will be on the page at all times. Screens. Got a footer screen. Create a footer screen folder. Create an index inside of that. And then create a footer screen .module.css. I'll paste in some styles. And then the inside the footer index, create a basic React component. Give the div a class name of classes.footer screen container. And I'll import classes from footerscreen.module.css. Go ahead and fix this error right there. Import that into the app screen. And then we'll add in a paragraph with ampersand copy and a semicolon Limitech LLC with the year, current existing year, and the year will be a constant where we'll return the new date that get full year, so that we can get the current year, and this will update update every year so that we don't have to come in and change this actual number. Axios is defined but never used. Okay. Not yet. So that would be the order screen. Yes, we did not finish the actual functions themselves. So now that we have all the screens finished, we will go back to the order screen and finish the functions. Okay, so first we're going to need some state, so const we're going to need a piece of state named info message. And it will be defaulted to a string of submit. Import useState from React. And then I'll create another slice of state with loading submit and set loading submit. The initial value for this state will be false. Create another piece of state for the form state and a function to set the form state. Set name to a string, and we will go ahead and do that 3 more times with phone, email, and message. These are the 4 form fields that we will need in this form. Below that, create another constant. For form config, where we will create a name object. To define the type and the config of the objects. And for the config, we'll just need a type and a placeholder. And we have 2 types here, but it is necessary. So I'll copy that down 3 more times. Phone, email, and message. At least it's necessary in the way I have the code written right now. And the second one will be an input with a type of text. They will all be a type of text except for the last one, which will be a text area. The second one will have a placeholder of phone. Email will have a placeholder of email. And message will have a placeholder of message. I'm going to have this constant declared before the functions. And then what we'll do is for each item in the form state, we'll do form elements, push it onto the form elements, we'll point ID to the key, set up to form config with an ID of key, and then the value to the form state array with an ID of key. We're just remapping this from objects to array entries. And the input change handler, to switch the line that, or to move the current line that you're on, one down or one up, you use Alt and the arrow key in which direction you're trying to move it. So we'll declare the input change handler first. That will need an event passed in as well as an input identifier. And we will run through the form elements with a for each. The individual item will be named form element, and for each one we'll run an if check. If the input identifier is equal to the current form element .id, then we'll set the form state. Spread the existing form state, and then with an array with an ID or array entry of the input identifier, we will set that to the event .target .value. And that is the input change handler. So anytime somebody types in a letter in one of the form fields, it will update the state. Okay, so the submit handler will be an async function where we'll need the event passed in. And we will prevent the default. The default submit function. We'll set some loading submit to true. Destructure, name, email, phone, and message from form state equals form state. Destructure those items from the form state, and then we'll run an if check. If email is undefined, or if email is null, or if the email is an empty string, and lastly, if the email length is less than 1, set the info message to please enter your email, and then set loading submit to false, and return. Below that if check, we'll set the info message to null. Form state. Why is the form state not defined? It should be defined. as from state, not form state. That makes more sense. Alright, now for the submit handler. Let's get back to that. After we set the info message to null, create a try catch. In the try, we'll try to post to the API, our backend API, which we will create. Name, email, phone, and message. So what we're doing here is we'll await Axios.post, sending to this route, and then we'll send an object containing that data. Then I'll log to the console, message sent. And if we catch an error, message failed to send. Alright, and we should be done with the order screen at this point. So we're going to have to do a little bit of restructuring for the backend. Create 2 folders. Create a folder for the backend and a front end. Oh, that's a file. Right now, I will just delete the node modules so that we don't have to completely reinstall them. Actually, that probably, my computer might throw a fit. Okay, cancel that. So what we're going to do is move all of this into the front end. Okay, so it actually doesn't want me to move it that way. So we're going to temporarily close out Visual Studio. We'll go to the sandbox and open the project destination, where we will just manually delete the node modules. The reason it wouldn't let us before is because we had it open in Visual Studio. Okay, let's just scratch that. Move everything to the front end. And then let's open this back up. Alright, so what we're going to do is create another package.json. And that will be in the main project directory. So we'll go into the one in the front end. For that, below the final curly brace, we need to add in a proxy yes, add in a comma before that so it doesn't yell at us. Add a proxy and point that to http // localhost : and I'm gonna do 5005. You can choose a different port if you'd like. And the scripts look fine. Everything should be good here. So I'm going to move to the other package.json. And then we're going to change up the scripts a little bit. So start will be node backend /server. We'll create a script for server, which will be nodemon backend /bike shop server. And that's what we'll name our server. Rename that to client, and that will be npm start prefix frontend. Create a script for dev, and that will be currently, and use / to escape strings. So we'll do npm run server /string /string npm run client /string. So it's going to run concurrently. Actually, fix that. Concurrently npm run server, npm run client. And then we're just going to try npm run dev and see if it yells at us. Yep, it yelled at us. Concurrently, so we're going to do we need concurrently. We also need nodemon. And then we'll try to run it and see what else we're missing. Okay, so I think it's just missing the server. So it didn't start the server, which is fine because our basic app is starting, and you should see that in your browser. Everything should be good to go at this point. So for the backend, we're going to go ahead and get started there. Create a file named bike shop server. Where we'll create an express constant, set that to require express. Install express. Require.env, and then you can just call that config directly on it to get the actual information. Install.env. I'm not sure if you have to install that one. That might come installed with Node. We shall see. Call create your app with express, and then call app.use on express.json. Create a JSON object with and set extended to false. And define our routes. This is the email route. Then we're going to require the route send email, which we'll create in just a moment. Let's set the constant port. No. Set port equal to process.env.port or 5005. Call app.listen, pass in port, and then an arrow function where we will console log a template string saying server started in the node environment on port. And there's a slight bit of code I added previously, but it might not be necessary for this go through. So we'll go ahead and start the dev server and see what we're missing. Find module backend/server. Okay, so I think that's the issue. Package/JSON. Yeah, it's supposed to be node JSON backend/bike shop server. And then when you make changes to the package.json, you might want to just go ahead and restart the dev server. Let's see. Bike shop server. Oh, yes, there you go. Just scroll down. The dev server is working just fine now. So we'll add in a folder for routes, and then send email.js. Create a route for that. Create an express constant to require express. Create a router constant, set that equal to express.router. Then a async handler constant, set that equal to require express-async-handler. Create a node mailer constant, set that equal to require node mailer. And then we will install express async handler and node mailer now. Get that started. Create a constant for transport. Set that equal to an object. And set the service equal to AOL. This is where you might want to dive into the node mailer docs, because the service and this the options for these can be different. If you're using Google, it might be a little bit different. So I would suggest, if you're starting out, to just sign up and create an AOL account, because that's the email that you'll be sending from. Set user to process.env.email_user. Set the pass to process.env_email_pass. Create a transporter constant. Set that equal to node mailer.create transport. Pass in transport. Call transporter.verify. Inside the verify, if there's an error, we'll pass in the error. You want to pass in error and success as parameters. And if there is an error, we'll console log that error. Else log console log server is ready to take message. Awesome. Below that, call router.post. Create a post object. The path will be just a /. Pass in the async handler. Pass in async, an async function, anonymous arrow function. Pass in request, response, and next. We're going to destructure the name, email, phone, and message. Equal from the request.body. So we're destructuring from the request.body. Create a content constant, where I'll set that to a template string, which I'm just going to paste in. So pass in a name, use \n for a line break, pass in an email, set that to the email, pass in a phone, and then I'll pass in a message as well. Oh, I didn't even pass in the equal sign. So set content to the template literal containing the information. Create a mail constant. Set from to process.env.email_user to your email address. That doesn't work, so if you send it there, it will not go through. Subject, new message from contact form. Text, set that to the content. Nice. And then below the mail, we'll call transporter.send mail, where we'll pass in the mail. Oops. Pass in the mail along with the anonymous arrow function. Pass in error, data, and then in the body of that, we'll pass in an if check on error. If there's an error, we'll send res.json with the object setting message to fail. Else, we'll do the same thing and set the message to success. So at this point, it should be successfully sent. And then we will create a .getignore file. Pass in node modules frontend /node, just to make sure. .env as well, and then we will create .env. So it's all grayed out, and let me double check. Yep, we should be good there. .env, and then we'll create the email _user email_pass for the AOL account that you created. So go create your AOL account, and then we should be good to go. little bit of depreciation there, but we should be fine. I'm just going to compare this to the original really quickly. Right, okay, so it doesn't look like the style perfectly converted over to the order screen. It looked like I just had one little misspelling error right there. I think that was it. Alright, so there's a couple things that we need to fix. First off, let's change the name of the front end package.json to client. In the back end, we will add a main option and point that to backend / bike shop server. I'll actually make that the same as this right there. There was also a few other errors, like express async handler. I had mistyped the import. Make sure you get the import correctly. Also, it's process.env. I had spelled that incorrectly. Same thing with the express import here. Just make sure you get that correct. And spell that correctly. For that, we need to move to the backend in the routes, the send email route. We are missing a module.export equals router. Then npm run dev. Server is ready to take message. A little bit of depreciation, and then it starts up for us. So, here's our shop. Just a little landing page. With a contact screen where we can send an email. Alright, and that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe.